Hello guys, how are you doing today? Welcome back to another episode of our English story series, where learning meets real-life storytelling. Today's story is called One Rainy Afternoon. It's a slow and clear English story perfect for listening, vocabulary building, and pronunciation practice. Grab your headphones, relax, and enjoy a story that teaches not only English, but something deeper about life. Part 1. The Storm Begins. Daniel had only been in Brookville for 3 weeks. The city was larger than his hometown, noisier, and, he had quickly learned, far rainier. That Tuesday afternoon, the clouds had been gathering since morning. By 2 o'clock, the first drops fell. By 2:15, it was a downpour. Daniel pulled his hood tighter around his head as he walked down the unfamiliar street. His umbrella, bought from a corner store for $5, flipped inside out within seconds of a strong gust of wind. An older man in the corner reading a newspaper. A young woman typing on a laptop. A boy of about 10 sipping hot chocolate while sketching in a notebook. The café felt safe. Behind the counter stood a woman with short curly hair and kind eyes. She smiled when she saw him. "Rough weather out there," she said. "Yeah," Daniel replied, pushing back his wet hood. "I think my umbrella gave up on me." She chuckled and handed him a towel. "Here, on the house. You look like you could use something warm. Coffee? Tea? Hot chocolate?" "Coffee, please," Daniel said. "Something strong." While she prepared the drink, Daniel looked around. The walls were lined with old photographs, black and white images of the cafe in its early days. There was even a picture of a young man holding a lantern, standing proudly in front of the shop. "Is that the original owner?" Daniel asked when she returned with his cup. "Yes," she said, placing the coffee in front of him. "My father, he opened this place 60 years ago, said it should always feel like a light in the storm." Daniel sipped the coffee. It was rich, smooth, and instantly warming. For the first time that day, he smiled. Vocabulary to note. Chimed, made a ringing sound. On the house, free of charge. Rich, flavor. Strong and full taste. Light in the storm, a safe or comforting place in difficult times. Part 3. An unexpected conversation. Daniel found a seat near the window, his coffee warming his hands. Outside, rain still painted the glass with silver streaks. He had planned to just drink quietly and leave, but the boy sketching at the other table caught his eye. The kid kept glancing at Daniel, then quickly looking back down at his notebook. Finally, the boy stood up and walked over. "Mister, can I show you something?" he asked, holding the notebook tightly. Daniel nodded. "Sure." The boy flipped it open to a page with a pencil drawing. It was of a man standing in the rain, holding an umbrella, except the umbrella was broken, and the man looked lost. "It's you," the boy said simply. Daniel blinked. "That's very good. But why did you draw me?" The boy shrugged. "You looked sad. My mom says drawing can help people feel better." Daniel didn't know what to say. He glanced toward the counter, where the woman, probably the boy's mother, was watching with a gentle smile. "Thank you," Daniel said, genuinely touched. "You're a talented artist." The boy beamed and hurried back to his table. When Daniel looked down again, he realized there was a folded piece of paper tucked inside the notebook page the boy had shown him. He hadn't noticed it before. On it were just 4 words, written in neat handwriting. Don't give up yet. Vocabulary to note. Painted the glass. Describes rain covering the window. Tucked. Placed or hidden inside something. Beamed. Smiled brightly. Genuinely touched. Deeply moved emotionally. Part 4, the story behind the note. Daniel couldn't stop looking at the small folded paper. 4 words. Don't give up yet. He glanced toward the boy again, but the kid was busy drawing something else, humming softly. His mother, however, was now coming over with 2 cups of coffee. One for herself, and one she placed gently in front of Daniel. I hope you don't mind, she said, sitting across from him. You look like you could use it. Daniel hesitated. Thank you. I appreciate it. They sat in silence for a moment, listening to the rain. Then she nodded toward the paper still in his hand. He wrote that for you, she explained. It's something I tell him when he's frustrated with his drawings. Daniel frowned slightly. Why would he think I need to hear it? She smiled gently. Because you were sitting here like the rain had washed all the color out of your day. Her words hit deeper than he expected. You're not wrong, he admitted. It's been a rough few months. The woman leaned back. You don't have to tell me, but I've learned something. Sometimes a stranger's kindness can change more than you think. Daniel found himself asking, What's your name? Anna, and that's my son Leo. He nodded, glancing once more at Leo, who was now sketching a cat wearing a raincoat. The coffee was warm in his hands, but something else warmed him now. A feeling he hadn't expected to find in a café on a rainy afternoon. Vocabulary to note. Washed all the color out of your day. A metaphor for sadness. Frowned slightly, showed mild confusion or concern. Leaned back, moved the upper body backward, often when relaxing or thinking. Hit deeper, had a stronger emotional impact than expect. Part 5. An invitation in the rain. The rain had slowed, but the streets outside were still glistening, reflecting the streetlights like ribbons of gold. Daniel felt lighter than he had in weeks, and yet he didn't know why. Anna took a sip of her coffee, then said, I'm sorry if this sounds forward, but what do you do? Daniel gave a short laugh. Right now? Mostly stare at my computer and try not to panic. I was, a graphic designer. I lost my biggest client 2 months ago. Anna nodded slowly, as if piecing something together. I run a small community art space. We teach kids to draw, paint, and tell stories. We also help adults who need a fresh start. Daniel raised an eyebrow. And you're telling me this because? She smiled. Because we need someone who can help us with digital design. Posters, flyers, maybe even a little website work. It's not full-time, but it's something. And I think you could use a something. He stared at her. This woman, a complete stranger, had just offered him an opening. A door where he had only seen walls. I don't even know you, he said softly. You know enough, Anna replied. You know I believe in not giving up, and you know I make good coffee. Daniel laughed, a real laugh, not the polite kind. Leo came over just then, holding out his drawing of the raincoat cat. Here, for you, he said. Daniel took it carefully. Thank you, Leo. Anna stood and slipped on her coat. The address is on the back of the drawing. Come by tomorrow if you want to talk more." And then, just like that, they were gone, leaving Daniel alone with a cooling cup of coffee, a child's drawing, and a note that suddenly meant more than it had an hour ago. Vocabulary to note: glistening, shining with reflected light, often when wet. Raised an eyebrow, showed mild surprise or curiosity. An opening, an opportunity. Polite kind, a laugh given out of courtesy. Not genuine amuse me. Part 6. First Steps into Color. The next morning, Daniel stood outside a brick building with a mural of bright flowers painted across its side. The rain had stopped, but the air was still damp and smelled faintly of earth. He checked the back of Leo's drawing again. The address was scrawled in blue crayon, followed by 3 words: "Come make something." Pushing the door open, he stepped into a large, warm room filled with mismatched tables, jars of paintbrushes, and shelves stacked with sketchbooks. Kids were bent over their work, and at the far end, a group of adults painted in near silence, each lost in their own world of color. Anna appeared from behind a tall easel, smiling. "You came. You invited me," Daniel replied, shrugging, though a small part of him still wondered if this was a mistake. Anna handed him a seat near a laptop. "Before we talk design, I want you to join the morning session. It's called Painting Your Weather." Daniel frowned. "Painting my weather?" She nodded. "Everyone paints the weather that matches their mood. Could be sunny, stormy, cloudy, whatever's inside you right now." The first brushstroke. A blank sheet of paper stared back at him. His hand hovered over the paintbrush, unsure where to begin. Around him, children dipped brushes into bright reds and yellows, while an older man covered his page in deep blue swirls. Finally, Daniel dipped into a grayish blue. The first stroke felt awkward. The second came easier. By the 10th, he was lost in the movement. No email inbox, no bills, no endless job search. Just color. Anna came by and glanced at his work. "Rainy, but calm," she said softly. "I like it." The real reason he came. After the session, Anna slid a folder toward him. "These are some of our event posters. They need help." Daniel flipped through them. The layouts were messy, the fonts inconsistent. His fingers itched to fix them. "I can do better than this," he said without thinking. Anna grinned. "I know." That afternoon, he stayed for 3 hours, redesigning flyers, teaching a volunteer how to use a simple editing tool, and even showing Leo how to scan his drawings. When he finally left, the mural outside seemed brighter. Vocabulary to note: mismatched, not matching in style or type. Hover, to stay in one place above something without touching it. Itched to do something. Had a strong desire or urge to do it. Part 7. The first real job in months. The following week, Daniel's phone buzzed with an email from Anna. Subject: quick question. Could you come in tomorrow? We've got a community event next month, and I think you might be the perfect person to help lead the project. He stared at the screen. Lead the project? He had barely stepped inside the art center twice, and already they were talking about leadership. Back at the big table, when he arrived, Anna was arranging chairs around a wide table. Papers, sketches, and scraps of colored paper were scattered everywhere. "This is our big table," she said, "where ideas get messy before they get good." She explained. The center was hosting an Art in the Park festival featuring live painting, music, and workshops. They needed posters, flyers, a social media plan, and someone to make sure it all looked and felt like one connected story. "So you're asking me to be the art director?" Daniel asked. Anna smiled. "You can call it whatever you like. I just know you can make it happen." Planning mode. For the first time in months, Daniel pulled out his old designer's notebook, the one with coffee stains and doodles in the margins. He sketched out a theme: watercolor splashes, hand-lettered titles, soft blues and golds to match the park's autumn colors. Leo sat next to him, sketching little suns and birds for the corners of the posters. "Can we put these in too?" Daniel grinned. "We can put anything in, if it tells the story." Something shifting. As the day went on, he realized something. No one here cared about his resume gap or the jobs he didn't get. They cared about the work he was doing right now. By the time he packed up, Anna handed him an envelope. "It's not much," she said, "but we believe in paying people for their time." Inside was a modest check, the first payment he'd received for creative work in nearly 8 months. Walking home, Daniel felt a weight lift from his shoulders. It wasn't a full-time job. It wasn't a miracle. But it was proof that he still had something to offer. Vocabulary to note: margins, the empty space at the sides of a page. Theme, the main subject or idea that ties a project together. Modest, small in amount, but meaningful. Part 8. The Festival Deadline Rush. The Art in the Park Festival was only 3 weeks away. Daniel's neatly drawn plans from last week had now exploded into a whirlwind of sticky notes, half-finished sketches, and urgent emails. The countdown begins. On Monday morning, Anna appeared at the big table with a checklist so long it could have been a scroll from an ancient library. Posters to print, social media posts to schedule, workshop signs, stage banners. The works. She looked at Daniel. "We can do this, right?" He swallowed. "We can. We have to." Juggling everything. For the next 10 days, Daniel lived in 2 worlds. The Art Center world, designing posters, coordinating with printers, making sure every flyer had the right date. He checked 3 times after a near mistake. The real-life world, laundry piling up at home, quick dinners of toast and soup, and a calendar full of don't forget reminders. Leo was his unofficial assistant, handing him colored markers during brainstorming sessions, and occasionally adding a smiling sun to the corner of the designs. Almost disaster. 2 days before the printing deadline, Daniel got an email from the printer. Subject: urgent. Your file is missing the sponsor logos. His stomach dropped. Without those logos, the whole job would be rejected. And there was no backup plan. For a moment, old doubts rushed in. "You're going to mess this up. This is why you haven't been working." Then he took a breath, opened the file, and started fixing it. 3 hours later, the corrected version was sent, approved, and queued for printing. A small victory. On Friday, the first stack of freshly printed posters arrived. The colors were perfect: warm golds, deep blues, tiny suns from Leo in each corner. Anna looked at them and said, "These make me want to go to the festival right now." Daniel smiled, the kind of smile that comes when you've been running on coffee and adrenaline but still feel proud. Vocabulary to note: whirlwind, a fast, chaotic rush of activity. Coordinate, to organize people or things so they work well together. Q. To line something up for processing or action. Part 9. The Day in the Park. The morning of the Art in the Park festival arrived with the smell of fresh coffee, warm bread from a nearby bakery, and nerves. So, a perfect start. The park looked transformed. Stalls lined the pathways, children chased bubbles, and the early sunlight made the banners glow. Everywhere Daniel looked, his posters and signs were there, pinned to trees, on notice boards, taped to stall tables. Leo ran ahead, pointing, "Dad, there's your work, and there, and there." Anna arrived carrying 2 mugs of coffee. "You ready?" she asked. "I think so," Daniel said, adjusting his camera strap. He planned to take photos for the Art Center's online gallery. Art everywhere. Musicians tuned their instruments, painters set up easels, and a group of kids sat cross-legged on a picnic blanket learning to weave baskets. Daniel moved from stall to stall, taking pictures, chatting with artists, and helping a vendor fix a sign that had blown sideways in the wind. For a moment, he forgot about deadlines, worries, and the months of self-doubt. Here, surrounded by creativity, he felt part of something again. The unexpected call. Just after lunch, Anna hurried toward him. "Daniel, the main stage host just lost his voice. They need someone to announce the afternoon acts. I told them you could do it." "Wait, what? Announce? In front of everyone?" "You'll be fine. You know the schedule, and you've been talking to people all morning." Daniel's heart raced. His hands felt cold. But before he could protest, a volunteer was already leading him backstage. On stage, from behind the curtain, Daniel could see the crowd. Maybe 100 people, chatting, eating, waiting. The microphone felt heavier than it looked. He remembered the last time he'd stood in front of this many people. His hands had shaken so badly, he dropped his notes. He took a slow breath. "Good afternoon, everyone." His voice echoed across the park. "Welcome to the Art in the Park Festival. I'm Daniel from the Riverbend Art Center, and I'm here to guide you through an afternoon full of music, stories, and creativity." To his surprise, the words flowed. He introduced the first band, made a joke about the wind, and even got a laugh from the audience. Evening glow. By sunset, his voice was a little hoarse, but his heart was full. Anna clapped him on the back. "See? Natural." Leo hugged him and said, "You sounded like the radio." Daniel laughed. "I'll take that as a compliment." Vocabulary to note. Transformed. Changed completely in appearance or character. Easel. A stand for holding a canvas while painting. Hoarse. Having a rough, strained voice. Part 10. Full circle. The festival had ended hours ago. The park was quiet now, dotted with paper cups, fallen leaves, and the faint smell of grilled food still drifting in the cool night air. Daniel sat on a wooden bench, camera bag at his feet, watching the last streaks of sunset fade into indigo. A quiet moment. Anna approached, carrying 2 cups of tea. She sat beside him without speaking for a while, just sipping and listening to the crickets. "You know," she finally said, "I remember the first time you walked into the café. You looked like you were drowning, not from rain, but from life. And now," she gestured toward the park, "you belong here." Daniel smiled softly. "It's funny. I came in from the rain that day, just looking for shelter. And instead, I found a place to grow. A lesson in small steps. In his notebook that night, Daniel wrote, "Big changes start with small, brave moments. Kindness is a bridge. It connects strangers until they're not strangers anymore. Sometimes the rain you fear is the reason you find the place you were meant to be." One more rainy afternoon. Weeks later, on another rainy afternoon, Daniel was walking past the café when he saw a young woman outside, clutching a damp map and looking completely lost. He stopped, smiled, and said, "Hey, come inside. You look like you could use some shelter and maybe a cup of tea." She smiled back, relieved. And just like that, the cycle began again. Vocabulary to note: indigo, a deep blue-purple color. Drowning, figurative, feeling overwhelmed or unable to cope. Cycle, a series of events that repeat in the same order. Thank you for listening to One Rainy Afternoon. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with other English learners. Want more English stories like this? Check out our full playlist for more romantic, real-life, and inspiring tales told in clear English. Keep listening, keep learning, and remember, every story is a step closer to fluency. See you in the next video.